All right, scholars, we are ready for the next part of our lesson. We're working on the uppercase letters. So we have uppercase G and uppercase Q. We're actually going to start with uppercase Q. Since we're already on this side, we may as well just work right here. So when you're looking at the uppercase Q, you're probably already noticing, scholars, that it looks a lot like a 2. So, very true. But let's make sure we're following carefully the steps, right? We want to make sure we're writing correctly, starting at the right spot, ending at the right spot. So, watching me trace, remember I have my paper slanted to the left. If you need to slant to the right for being right-handed, you can. As a left-handed writer, I am going to slant this way. I'm starting near the top line. Hook and curve to the baseline, loop, baseline, kick out. Oops, I forgot to trace it first. I went right to trying one. Oh my goodness. Good thing I've been tracing and trying for many years. Let me trace the next one. Starting near the top line, hook and curve to the baseline, loop, baseline, kick out. Right? Starting near the top line, hook and curve to the baseline, small loop, baseline, kick out. Now, scholars, I'm ready for you to pick up your pencil and join me on this trace and try, but a couple quick things. Number one, you want to make sure you're starting near the top line, but not at the top line. If you start at the top line, you're not going to really have a hook, and it needs to have a hook. The other thing is, when you make your loop, you want to make sure you're coming back here to the baseline and then doing the kick out. So watch those two things as we trace. Starting near the top line, hook and curve to the baseline, small loop, back to the baseline, kick out tail. All right, here we go. We're trying. Starting near the top line, hook and curve to the baseline, small loop, baseline, kick out. How'd you do? Let's try another. Trace and then try. Don't skip the trace, please. Trace starting near the top line, hook and curve to the baseline, small loop, baseline, kick out. Starting near the top line, hook and curve, baseline, small loop, baseline, kick out. One more pair to trace and try. You've got this, scholars. Starting near the top line, hook and curve to the baseline, small loop, baseline, kick out. Our final trace before I let you work on your own. Starting near the top line, hook and curve to the baseline, small loop, baseline, kick out. Excellent. How'd you do? All right, you are ready to pause and try your own. Remember, you have 2 lines of these. You're tracing one and then trying at least 6 of them. Tracing one and then trying at least 6 more. Go ahead, pause and do those 2 lines, and then let's check back with each other. Good luck. How did you do? Take a moment to look at your work. Do you have the nice hook? Did you touch the top line? Did you touch the baseline? After you made your loop, did your loop come back to the baseline before the kick out tail? Now, scholars, some of you already worked down here on these little combination letters, but before we turn to uppercase G, let's check this one. If you already did it, maybe just check your work, and if you didn't do it, this is a chance to do one, but I want you to notice that we're making a Q and then a G. So remember, the Q is this backward loop. The G is just our normal kind of loop that we're used to making. So let's try this one together if you haven't done it yet. Starting at the baseline, up and over, swing back around to the baseline, up to the middle dotted line, drop below the baseline, ready, backward loop to the baseline, kick out tail, becomes, right, the start of the G. So up and over, swing back around to the baseline, up to that middle dotted line, drop below the baseline. This one's a regular loop to the baseline, kick out tail. Now remember, you want to do 2 of those. If you wanted right now, follow along with me and do the next one, right? Remember, when you drop below the baseline on the Q, you're doing a backward loop to the baseline. Kick out tail, leads you right into the up and over of the G. Drop below the baseline. This one's a regular loop to the baseline for your kick out tail. So scholars, remember you want to have at least 2 of each of these little combos at the bottom. More than 2 for practice is absolutely okay. So we're going to turn back to the front page, the uppercase G. I know, G, scholars, when you look at this, you might think it looks a little difficult. But I promise you, if we really work together on where we're forming, right, and what we're doing, even sometimes I think repeating what I'm saying with me could help you. So be patient with yourself. Check the slant of your paper. Set your pencil down, and you're going to right now watch me first. I'm going to trace and try a couple of them for you. So just watch what I'm doing. All right. Starting at the baseline. Big slant to the top line. Skinny loop. Drop to the middle dotted line. Point. Curve to the baseline. Point. Kick out tail. All right. Watch me try one. Starting at the baseline. Big slant to the top line. Small loop to the middle dotted line. Point. Curve to the baseline. Point. Kick out tail. Let's watch another trace and try. Ready? Just watch. Put your pencil down. I see you. Starting at the baseline. Big slant to the top line. Small loop to the middle dotted line. Point. Curve to the baseline. Point. Kick out tail. Watch me try another. Starting at the baseline. Big slant to the top line. Small loop to the middle dotted line. Point. Curve to the baseline. Point. Kick out tail. So scholars, I think 2 things that you want to notice as we get ready to trace and try together. This point right here is about the middle of the space between the top line and the middle dotted line, right? About the middle. This point over here, right near the end of our letter, is getting pretty close to the middle dotted line, right? So you want to make sure you're going up pretty far to make your point. All right, pencils up. Let's trace and try. I'm going to zoom in a little bit more. Right, so if you want to trace or watch me do one more, up close, starting at the baseline. Big slant to the top line. Small loop to the middle dotted line. Point. Curve to the baseline. Point. Kick out tail. All right, we're going to try one. If you need to watch one more first, up close, that's okay. But if you're ready, join me. Starting at the baseline, big slant to the top line, small loop to the middle dotted line, point, curve to the baseline, point, kick out tail. And let's trace. Starting at the baseline, big curve, big slant, to the top line, little loop to the middle dotted line, point, curve to the baseline, point, kick out tail. Starting at the baseline, big slant to the top line, small loop to the middle dotted line, point, big curve to the baseline, point, kick out tail. One more trace and try. We've got this. Starting at the baseline, big slant to the top line, small loop to the middle dotted line, point, curve to the baseline, point, kick out tail. All right, joining me for this last one of our trace and try before I let you work on your own. Here we go. Starting at the baseline, big slant to the top line, small loop to the middle dotted line, point, curve to the baseline, point, kick out tail. So scholars, take a moment to look at it. What I really want you to make sure you're noticing is that you have good points here and here. Right? So make sure you have a good point here and a good point here. If you don't have a good point, right, and it gets a little sloppy like this, right, that's going to actually look a lot like an uppercase S when we get to that letter. So you do not want to do that. You want to make sure you're getting those points. So make sure you get the point. Get the point? So now, scholars, you're going to trace one and try at least 6 on your own. And then when you get to the next line, there's a G with an A attached to it. So let me show you one of those, and then you can work on these 2 lines. And maybe you have a little bit left to do at the very bottom, right, with those combinations. But let me show you this one last thing. So the GA, which you'd want to write at least 2 of these, you're starting at the baseline, right? Big slant to the top line, small loop to the middle dotted line, point, curve to the baseline, point, kick out, and then from that kick out, you're going to go right to your up and over, swing back around, touch the middle dotted line, back to the baseline, kick out tail. So notice it doesn't swing down to the baseline. It actually forms right off of this kick out tail, then to your up and over. So be sure to catch that. So scholars, our objective today, right, working on lowercase and uppercase G and Q. So thank you for meeting with me. Good luck with your G's and Q's. And remember, take a photo of both sides to submit for your assignment. See you for our next cursive.